Hey folks, in this video I'd like to talk about planning for the sun, the moon, and the stars in landscape photography. And the first thing I'd like to say about planning is that I don't always plan. Sometimes I just head out, I don't have the ability to plan ahead, or I just want to be spontaneous. So I just get in the truck or I go for a hike or wherever and I go and see what I get. But when I do plan, there are now more resources for planning different aspects of a shoot than ever, and I use a lot of them. And both on the computer and on your smartphone or a tablet, you can get apps for planning things like weather, tides, aurora, locations, waves, fall color, wildflower blooms, including the sun, moon, and the stars. Now, the two categories of information that I find I use the most when planning are the weather, which can be hard to plan for because the weather is unpredictable. And even with good weather predicting applications or websites, oftentimes the weather doesn't turn out the way you think it's going to. The other thing that I plan for a lot is the light source direction and timing. So this would be the sun, the moon, and the stars. Now, unlike the weather, the sources of light in the landscape are completely predictable. And the main resource that I use to know where the sun, moon, and stars are going to be is an app called PhotoPills. And if you don't know it, PhotoPills is a phone app that puts a variety of calculations in the palm of your hand, such as things like exposure settings, hyperfocal distance, night sky camera settings, time-lapse camera settings, and a ton more. But the tools that I use the most are for knowing when and where the sun, moon, and the Milky Way will appear in the sky at any time, in any place, on the planet, on any day. Now, the app can be used to do very advanced planning, such as what my friend Josh Cripps did recently to photograph this solar eclipse in the desert near Dubai. Check out the Eclipse 2019 story on Josh's Instagram page to see how he did it. But even those of us who aren't at Josh's level can easily do basic planning. Basic planning for my photo excursions falls into three main categories. Category one, I just need to know what the sun or moon or stars are going to be doing at my current location right now, today. Situation number two is I know when I will be at a location, but I need to know what's going to be happening at that future time in that place. And category three is I know where I want to photograph, but I don't have any particular time I have to be there. I can go there whenever I want, so I want to find out what's the best time to be there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look at those three different situations in the PhotoPills app. So when you open the PhotoPills app, you see a whole bunch of things that it can do. And I just want to know what is the sunrise and sunset time and the blue hour and the golden hour and that kind of stuff for right here. Like if I wanted to go out and photograph tonight near my house or tomorrow morning, I just need to know that. So I would just go to the sun pill and it will just tell me there for Friday, December 27th, which is today. It'll tell me daytime is starting at 8:23. And it throws the moonrise time in there during the day. It's coming up at 9 a.m. It's going to be waxing crescent. And then golden hour this afternoon is going to be around 4 p.m. with sunset at 4:45 p.m. And then blue hour going through 5:05, nautical twilight 5:17, and then astronomical twilight 5:53, that's when the stars are really going to start coming out, and then nighttime at 6:30. So boy, yeah, here in the Northwest, the sun sets and it gets dark early near the winter solstice. And I could also just kind of see like where's the sun in the sky at different times of day by dragging on this. And I've got some other information about the sun there. So really quickly, just for today at that, what's the sun going to be doing? That's a quick look. And I can also use the arrow keys to go forward to tomorrow and the next day. And I can kind of track the sunrise and sunset times that way. And I can also do the same for the moon by going to the moon pill. And it gives me all the information about the moon. And I can see what phase the moon is in and where is the moon in relationship to the sun. And right now, because we have a fairly new moon, that the sun and the moon are kind of tracking each other. And so they're going to be up together and down together. That's what a new moon is. So that's just really quick with the PhotoPills app, how you can quickly find out what the moon and the sun are going to be doing where you live today, tomorrow, or sometime close by. You could also look further ahead into the future. But now if I want to plan for a place where I'm going at some point in the future, I know when I'm going to be there. I just now want to find out what is it going to be, where are the sun and the moon going to be, and maybe what's the Milky Way going to be doing in that place when I'm there. So I'm going to go to the planner for that, and I'm going to go to load, and I'm going to load in where I'm going to be, which is Cannon Beach in Oregon, up on the Oregon coast. There it is. So that'll take me there. And let's see, I'm going to go through and turn something off here really quick. And we'll come back to this screen, which shows us for, this is for today, or actually for tomorrow is the date that's coming up down there. In the city of Cannon Beach, where the sun and the moon are rising and setting, that's what the blue and yellow and orange lines are showing us. And that's in the town, but I actually want to photograph Haystack Rock, which is out here. So I can click this button to move my pin out there to Haystack Rock. And then I also want to change it to the day that I'm going to be there, which is not tomorrow. So I can click down here on the time, and that brings up the date and the time. And now I can move my date to when I'm going to be there, which is actually going to be January 10th, 2020. And I'll say done. So this is showing me now the sunrise and sunset directions and also times at the top. So sunrise is going to be 7:56 in the morning and sunset 4:51 in the evening. And also the moonrise and set directions and times for January 10th. And I can scroll the timeline here and we can see here's the sun. So that morning, the sun's coming up at about 8 in the morning, and I can track where the sun's going across the sky. And there is where the sun is setting. So what this shows me is that if I want to get the sun setting right behind Haystack Rock, that dotted orange line shows me where on the beach I would need to stand to line up Haystack Rock with the sunset. And it also shows me, I can see up here, that on January 10th, we're going to have a full moon. And that means the cool thing about full moons is that they set. So here's the moon rise. See the light blue line coming in? There's the moon rise, which is at about 5 in the evening. So the full moon is going to be rising as the sun is setting. But then the next night on the 11th, the full moon is going to be setting right up, or sorry, the next morning on the 11th, the full moon is going to be setting right as the sun is rising. So if I go to this area on the beach, I can get the full moon setting behind Haystack Rock, kind of in that band of Venus, that twilight or earth shadow, which is the perfect time to photograph the full moon. So knowing when I'm going to be there on January 10th and 11th, I can find out, kind of plan where I want to be for my sunset shoot, if I want to have the sun going down behind the rock. And I also see that the next morning I have an opportunity for getting the full moon behind Haystack Rock right at sunrise or right before sunrise. So that's something, those are two things that I wouldn't have known. I would have just been guessing at if I had just shown up in Cannon Beach on those days. And now I know and I can be prepared. And I'm going to be in Sedona, Arizona coming up here. So I'm going to go, I actually already loaded this. I searched for it and then saved it as a point of interest, which is Cathedral Rock in Sedona, Arizona, which there it is. And I'm going to be there in a couple of days. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that to December 28th on 2019 and go. And that's going to show me the sunrise and sunset and moon rise and set times and locations. And I also know that right over here, coming up from the secret Slick Rock trailhead, that you can take that trail and hike out to this point over here. So I'm going to move it over to that point. If I can find it here, it's up here. So you can take that trail out to that point and get a great view of Cathedral Rock, which is over there. And what this is showing me is that on the 28th, the sunrise is going to rise pretty close to, from that location, pretty close to right behind Cathedral Rock there. And also then later on at sunset, the sun's going to be coming in from the side of Cathedral Rock. And furthermore, I'm just curious, I can also see that on December 28th, it's almost a new moon. Just a sliver of moon. And if I come over here to the galactic core visibility, I can click on that, and that'll bring up a visualization of the Milky Way. And what this is showing me is that the moon is going to set at around 8 o'clock at night, and then from that point, somewhere around 9:30, between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, the Milky Way, it won't have the galactic core because it's wintertime, but the Milky Way, the parts of it that we can see, are going to be right over the top of Cathedral Rock from that location, and the moon will have already set, so it'll be great. It'll be into the darkness of night. The moon will have set, so the Milky Way will be as bright as it potentially can be, and so I could shoot a sunset in that location, then stick around and also shoot the Milky Way over those rocks. All right, now final example. Let's go back here, in the planner to load. I'm going to load another place, and this is Dillon Falls, which is in near Bend, Oregon, along the Deschutes River. And this is a place I've photographed before. And you can see if we were to go there in the next couple days, which would be December 28th, that's what I've got loaded here at this time, that the sunrise, that yellow line, is coming almost perpendicular to the gorge there. That's a narrow gorge. I want to find out when if I could go there. It's not, it's a few hours from my house. If I could go there anytime, when could I get the sunrise coming straight down the Deschutes River Gorge there at Dillon Falls? So let me just kind of jump ahead in time. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the time here and go to the date. And let's say, what if we jump ahead to maybe April and say done? Okay, so in April, we can see that if I stand out on that point right out here, now we're closer to having the sun coming right down the gorge. It's pretty close. Maybe I should go a little bit further. So let's check in May. So May 28th, maybe let's go towards the middle of May, maybe May 15th, and see what that looks like. And there we go. Somewhere around May 15th is perfect to have that sunrise. Right as the sun is rising, the sun's shining right down that gorge. And I know that with all that white water and rapids that are in that narrow gorge, there's a great mist that can rise. And if the sun is coming right down the gorge, the sun just lights it up. So because that's a location I can go to pretty much any time, I can now plan to be there in the middle of May, and that would be the best lighting situation for that. So that's a very introductory look at some basic but common planning situations using the PhotoPills app. It's extremely helpful both on location, in the moment, and when planning ahead of time. And the app can also be used to plan for all sorts of sky and landscape alignments that would be nearly impossible to photograph just relying on your luck to be in the right place at the right time. For example, like that solar eclipse shot that my friend Josh got. So on the PhotoPills website, you can go to Awards Legends to see some of the best images that have been made possible by PhotoPills planning. And you can follow PhotoPills on Instagram at @PhotoPills to see photos people are planning on a daily basis. And if you go to Academy, you can see all of PhotoPills' articles and videos to help you learn. So before we wrap up, I'll mention that I'm a friend with the guys at PhotoPills, and I will be one of the instructors at the PhotoPills camp in May 2020 on the island of Menorca in Spain, but this isn't a paid endorsement. I'm just sharing a tool that I actually use and find valuable. So I hope this has been helpful, and if it has, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything coming up. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next one.